Hello guys, greetings and welcome to the Bhawanipur Education Society College. I am Tushita, a second year student.
Hey Tushita.
Hey Akshat.
Hi, I'm Akshat, a first year BCom student. At Bhawanipur, students can pursue any discipline: arts, science, commerce, or even business administration.
BESC has over 16 bachelor and master degrees to offer.
We don't only stick to academics but have a host of co-curricular activities.
Wait, does your college have all that?
Yes, and much more.
But first, can we have some music please? We have a state-of-the-art surveillance system monitoring the entire campus.
Our top-notch security system makes us feel safe at all times.
There are more than 200 faculty members that we have, and that is how we are able to deliver to the students a holistic approach to education.
Please take your seats.
Our classroom provide an environment for experiential learning.
They are fully air-conditioned with modern projectors.
Can you tell me about mergers? Yes, you.
Our BBA curriculum makes you industry ready so that you become a future business leader.
Our huge 5,000 square feet library caters to all student needs.
So, if you want to deep dive into the world of Moby Dick,
Or research the 18th century political influence on Blake's poetry.
Or want to read about the extraordinary life of Isaac Newton, this is the place to be.
From gravity to electromagnetism, explore the magical world of physics right here.
Here, all the curious cases of chemistry are solved.
गोरी 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 कभी कभी कहीं कहीं चोरी चोरी गोरी 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 भोले भोले नहीं नहीं गोरी गोरी
And cut! Next shot!
In the AV room though, a different kind of chemistry can be seen in motion. The one we see on screen.
You can participate in all kinds of collectives here, like
overpopulation is a major source of problems in our country.
Or make your voice heard in a debate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for the slight delay in starting the event. On behalf of the Oberoi Grand, I am delighted to welcome you to the Tiger Pataudi Memorial Lecture 2023. Today, we gather not only to commemorate a cricketing legend, but to celebrate the enduring spirit of a man who left an indelible mark on Indian cricket, Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi. Tiger Pataudi was not merely a captain, but a visionary who led his team with unmatched determination. As the youngest captain of the Indian cricket team at the age of 21, he faced challenges with a courage and resilience that mirrored the true spirit of sportsmanship. Often described as India's greatest captain and the best fielder in the world, Tiger Pataudi was truly a force to be reckoned with, both on and off the field. Winner of the Arjuna Award and the Padma Shri, Tiger has inspired and will continue to inspire many generations with his leadership, integrity, and love for the game. And tonight, we are privileged to not only celebrate the legacy of the Nawab of cricket, but also to gain perspective from the Prince of Cricket himself, Mr. Brian Lara. It's an honor beyond measure to have the West Indian maestro in our midst tonight. Widely acknowledged as one of the greatest batsmen of all time, he topped the Test batting rankings on several occasions and holds numerous cricketing records. The highest score in first-class cricket, the highest individual score in a Test innings, the fastest to get to 10,000 runs, and I could go on the entire evening. But Mr. Lara's contribution to cricket is not merely statistical. It's a narrative of passion, dedication, and an unyielding commitment to excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight promises to be a truly special evening. So without further ado, I welcome you all once again to the Oberoi Grand. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Let's have some more. Another lovely square cut. And that's gone through before.
अब छलकते हुए सागल नहीं.
I think we met at a cricket party in Calcutta. He had come to play, and of course we were all cricket mad and cricketer mad also. It was the man that I loved, and it seemed to worry everybody else that he was an Nawab. Like it will be height of Ayashi, and he was feudal and he didn't have a 9-to-5 job.
Senior Nawab Sahib, whatever little I saw, he was a man who could create innings like Gavaskar. While Nawab was exactly opposite. He will go for the ball. No comparison between two styles. He was the most intelligent captain I have seen in my life.
Tiger was the first captain, to my mind, who told us, in no uncertain terms, look fellas, we're not playing for Bombay or Madras or Punjab or Delhi or any other state. You're playing for India. Think India. My only complaint is that he was too lazy, he was too laid back. I can't imagine a captain of a side not having a kit bag of his own. See, he would use somebody else's pads, somebody else's gloves. The bat is the most important element. And then he will say, all right, like that, all right, this is all right for me. And he'll just pick it up and go in.
The earliest memories I have, I think, of being really tiny, people saying, hello beta, what does your father do? And I'd say, he's the captain of India, and be very proud.
I did play some cricket at university. I played one match, and he told me after that, he said, I forbid you from playing cricket ever again. So I think I would have loved to have been there, during the 70s. Basically, with both my parents, because it was a different time, and you see the stories, you see the pictures, you see the kind of life they had, the glamour combined with the simple nuances. But that era was something else.
How glad the many millions of Timothys and Williams would be to capture me.
From being a prince in Bhopal and Pataudi to Oxford and Winchester and India that it was in those days. And of course, playing international cricket with one eye. He was like Al Pacino to me. Slightly taller version. And definitely better at cricket.
And that's gone through for 4, and that's his 100. Pataudi, 6th Test 100.
He had no one eye, he had no one shoulder, he had no one thigh. Because he was through out of the windscreen of the car. With all those such handicaps, he was still the best fielder of the era. Lovely knock was at Melbourne. Don Bradman himself came in lunchtime and he said, "Young man, I wish I had some shots like you." What a tribute.
When you get older, it's the mad things that you've done is what you remember, no?
On another occasion, he took some cricketers deep into the woods. Suddenly there was a group of dacoits raiding the cricketers. उन्होंने एक को पकड़ा, विजय मांजरेकर, लटका दिया उसको कि ये get us this kind of ransom, otherwise he's going. And Manjrekar didn't know, honestly, till the time he died, he didn't know that this was all stage managed.
And I remember him coming and telling me, "I've written this for you. Dile nada tujhe hua kya hai? Aakhir is dard ki dawa kya hai?" Next day I said, "Firoz, you know, Tiger's done such a wonderful thing for me." Firoz said, "You idiot woman." That's Ghalib, for God's sake.
A loss for Indian cricket today. Former Indian cricket captain Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi is no more.
बड़ा दुखद दिन है, एक टाइगर हमेशा के लिए छोड़कर चला गया.
The man oozed style on the field, where he was a terrific cricketer. Off the field, the classic gentleman.
I think the most important thing Abba has demonstrated by example what it is to be honorable and correct and dignified and strong and silent.
Mr. Brian Charles Lara, distinguished sportspersons, ladies and gentlemen. I am Devdan Mitra, editor Sports of the Telegraph, and on behalf of the ABP Group and the Bengal Club, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 11th edition of the Tiger Pataudi Memorial Lecture. She could not be here this evening, though she was very keen to be so, but we would particularly like to thank Sharmila Tagore ma'am for her continued support to this event. Imran Khan, the World Cup winning former captain of Pakistan, was the speaker at the inaugural edition of the lecture in 2012. Since then, we have had Greg Chappell, Saurav Ganguly, Kapil Dev, Mike Braley, Courtney Walsh, David Garr, Mohammad Azharuddin, and Sir Clive Lloyd as our honored guests. We were also fortunate to have had in our midst the spin wizard, Bishan Singh Bedi, who delivered the oration in 2017 and who we sadly lost last month. And we also lost Mr. Prithviraj Singh Oberoi, popularly known as Bicky, the former chairman emeritus of EIH Limited, the flagship company of the Oberoi Group, who set the gold standard in hospitality. Both Mr. Bedi and Mr. Oberoi symbolized excellence in their respective fields, as also elegance and flamboyance. May I request everyone for a round of applause to celebrate their lives. Elegance and flamboyance are also what bind Tiger Pataudi, a Nawab, both literally and figuratively, and Brian Lara, the man who would earn the tag of Prince, who made his Test debut a good 15 years after Tiger paid his last, coincidentally against the West Indies. In his lecture, Imran Khan had said Tiger Pataudi's on-field flamboyance had a lot to do with the fact that he believed cricket was, first and foremost, a game that had to be enjoyed. That's why Imran said he was so flamboyant and had the charisma. Like Tiger, Brian Lara, in spite of the pressures of the modern-day game, just enjoys cricket. That reflected in his batting as well. Few since Sir Donald Bradman have built such massive scores as often and as fast as Brian Lara in his pomp, and, may I say, with such elegance. In some ways, Lara could be seen as a batsman from the Hyderabad school of languid elegance that Tiger so embodied, as did the likes of M.L. Jaisimha, Abbas Ali Beg, Azhar, and of course, VVS Lakshman. In a career of 131 tests and 11,953 runs in the format, Lara broke records for fun on his way to becoming one of the greatest batters in the world. One of the favorite pastimes of pundits is to pick the standout innings of Lara's blade, a difficult task given that he played so many. I had asked Sir Clive Lloyd, and his choice was Lara's heroic 153 not out, batting in the fourth innings versus Australia in Bridgetown in 1999. Against an attack of Glenn McGrath, Jason Gillespie, Shane Warne, and Stuart McGill, Lara remained determined, shepherding the lower order expertly while unfurling his array of strokes for a very special one-wicket win. And I quote Lloyd, to play as he did, nursing along players with much less ability, was the hallmark of greatness. To list all of Lara's achievement, as Mr. Dhawan said, would take up an entire evening. But how did this all begin? In his book, Beating the Field, My Own Story, Lara has written how as a young boy, growing up in the village of Cantaro in Santa Cruz, he tirelessly practiced his creative shots that were to become strokes of class. He reveals his single-mindedness of his pursuit, a common trait with almost all superlative performers. I quote, "When the others grew tired and went home and there was no one else to play with, I used to play my own test matches on the porch of our house, using a broom handle or a stick as the bat and a marble as the ball. I would arrange the pot plants to represent fielders and try to find the gaps as I played my shots." Unquote. There are many Brian Lara stories, which I'm sure some of you know, or I hope we will hear some of them from the legend himself this evening. But I would like to narrate one as told by Adam Gilchrist, who watched him from very close quarters in a 2003 match. A fielder at deep mid-wicket was taken out and placed behind point in the company of another fielder who was already stationed in the area. Lara quietly murmured, "Mistake," which was heard by Gilchrist behind the stumps. The next ball, Lara dispatched over deep mid-wicket for a six. Gilchrist, ever the Australian, then challenged him to attack the offside. And like a master craftsman, Lara obliged, hitting two back-to-back boundaries between those two fielders. They were still the same old pots for him, and he knew how to find the gaps between them. Like Sachin Tendulkar, his chief rival in the claim to the GOAT tag among modern-era batters, Lara's first visit to Australia, resulted in an innings of such mastery that it immediately pitched him into the spotlight on the world stage. Tendulkar's 114 in Perth and Lara's 277 in Sydney in 1993, in only his fifth test, were two innings which announced the arrival of geniuses in our midst. However, it wasn't all hunky-dory, as it wasn't with Tiger Pataudi. The highs were interspersed with the lows of abject defeats, questions raised about leadership, losing the captaincy only to get it back. But for both Lara and Tiger, the key was to put cricket at the center of all decisions. It was a pity that Lara's illustrious career coincided with West Indies hurtling into an abyss, and often he was reduced to being a one-man army. He copped a fair share of criticism during his multiple tenures as skipper, but he survived the turbulent period, which would have sunk a lesser man. Brian Lara's legacy and achievements can be viewed through the words of C.L.R. James, the doyen of Caribbean cricket writers, when he stated in reference to W.G. Grace, quote, "Like all truly great men, he bestrides 2 ages." Emerging from the 20th century stable of cricketers such as Sir Frank Worrell, Sir Garfield Sobers, and Sir Vivian Richards, heroes of West Indian cricket society in the post-1950s age of nationalism, Lara led West Indies cricket onto the turbulent, uncharted field of cricket in the age of globalization, with aplomb and elegance. We now present a short video to reflect on Brian Lara and his artistry.
He scored 90 against Barbados, the likes of the Joel Garners and the Malcolm Marshalls and stuff. So that was no mean feat. To score 92 as a young man against Barbados, that's about 150 normally.
He had a gift that not many players have. There are lots of players who are good technically.
I just knew he was a genius. When he puts his mind to something, he has this on-off switch. When he's got a point to prove, he will prove that point.
The thing is, you have a good day, you got to have a great day. If you get 100, get 200. If you get 200, get 300. Because you have so many bad days. So when he got in, you just didn't get him out.
He, I think, was the best player in our era. You know, he just had it all.
I enjoyed batting. You know, I didn't enjoy watching people bat. I enjoyed being out there and performing. You know, if we're going to bat for 5 sessions, why don't I bat for 5 sessions? Whenever the captain wants to declare, that's when I'm supposed to be walking off the field, putting my bat in my arm. The legacy I felt I left is the fact that I entertained.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Lara never played a test match at Eden Gardens, would you believe it? But we look forward to him taking guard a short distance away on the pitch of this magnificent hotel. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Charles Lara. Thank you. It's all yours.
Back in Kolkata, and this is such a wonderful place for me. I always cherish every single moment that I come to this state in India. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I also want to say a special good evening to the Pataudi family, who may not be here with us physically, but definitely here with us spiritually. I want to say a big thank you for allowing me to speak at such a wonderful moment in India history. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a true privilege to be standing in front of you here tonight. The enormity of the evening, and I must say the flippant request by my manager, just a casual request, do you want to go to Calcutta to deliver a speech? I said, no problem. You know, I'm playing golf, I have a bit of time, so why not? Well, it's now sinking in how big this occasion is. And let me tell you something. It's bloody nerve-wracking, and I'm telling you, overwhelming to say the least. Just looking at some of the amazing speakers that you've had in the past. You talk about the 1983 World Cup winning captain from India, Kapil Dev. And of course, before Kapil Dev, you had Clive Lloyd, Sir Clive Lloyd, raising the trophy for the West Indies in 1975 and 79, also speaking here. 1992 World Cup captain from Pakistan, Imran Khan. Of course, David Gower. I heard my fellow teammate Courtney Walsh was also here. And the Prince of Calcutta, Sourav Ganguly. So on one hand, I feel very, very honored. On the next hand, I was looking for the exit door. But I promise you that, we're going to have a wonderful evening here tonight. I must confess, first of all, that my knowledge of the man that we are honoring tonight is very, very measured. But you know what? The power, the sheer power of his name always fascinated me. The Nawab Muhammad Mansur Ali Khan Pataudi. It always, always, always fascinated me. A ruler, an Oxford graduate, an Oxford cricket captain, an Indian cricket captain, a victim of an accident, all of the above have us here this evening celebrating this wonderful life. I know you know his stats. I don't have to repeat it. 46 test matches, 2793 runs, an average of 34.9, 1 wicket in test cricket, which is 1 wicket more than I have, and 352 runs against the West Indies at an average of 18.5. And I don't say this to belittle his efforts against the West Indies, but I say this to give a little bit of a story. And it goes back to 1994 when I broke the Sir Garfield Sobers record of 365. And back in Australia, the great Sir Donald Bradman was given a call by a journalist, and he said to Sir Donald, the long-standing batting record of Sir Gary Sobers was just broken by a West Indian against England. Now, Sir Donald, we want to know, you were the greatest batsman in the world, and that poor English attack that Lara took apart, tell us what you would do against such an attack. And there was a little bit of pause, and Sir Donald Bradman answered, I think I would have gotten about 70 or 80. The journalist, shocked, said, Sir Donald, you were the greatest batsman that ever lived. You surely would have taken apart that attack. He said, yes, I would have taken it apart, but you got to remember I'm 86. Now, suffice to say that anyone that averages a touch under 35 for his country, playing 46 test matches, losing an eye, playing with one eye, I shudder to think what this man would have been capable of if he had all his faculties. Whatever he possessed at the time, he was able to carve out a career that really and truly put India on the map and definitely shaped Indian cricket's landscape. I want to say a special congratulations. I hope we give a round of applause for this wonderful Indian. Now, I mentioned the word Oxford. Now, I had a little brush with Oxford, but it was a little bit fabricated by me. It was in 1988, we were playing the World Cup in Australia, under 19 World Cup, and I left school and I spent 2 months away from school. And I was an average student. You know, I got around, but I was average. And I got back to class and I realized that I had no clue what they were talking about. You know, 2 months of school I missed. So I went home one evening and I said to my dad, listen, we're going to get a call from Oxford University very soon, right? They want a top-class cricketer, and I need to concentrate on my cricket to get into Oxford. So he agreed. I left Fatima College, never returned. I never went to Oxford, but I did play for the West Indies. Tonight, and before I get to my main topic tonight, I know it's still very fresh in the minds of the cricketing world, which was the just concluded World Cup. And I know that, like myself, everyone in here is very, very disappointed and sad by the end result from a team that played their hearts out. Now, let me tell you something. This Indian team reminds me of the West Indies team during their halcyon days in the 70s and 80s, when every country that they went to, they were loved. The cricket supporters loved their country, yes, but they loved the West Indies second. We were perennial favorites wherever we went. And I believe that India now holds that mantle. Of course, you may know that coming from Trinidad and Tobago, the majority of my population is Indian. Of course, many moons ago, with the indentured laborer scheme, we are now 44, 45% an Indian population. And of course, a melting pot of Africans and Chinese and Syrians and everybody else. So, West Indies missing out on the World Cup, there's only one team for our support. And at 4:30 in the morning, I can promise you, a lot of Trinidadians, a lot of West Indians were getting up to support India. And as I said, the end result was not something that we were looking for. But this is how it is. This is how sport is played, and you have to take the good with the bad. And I can say personally that I'm very proud of India. I can just tell you one more thing, though. In 6 months' time, I would not be supporting India. I'll be supporting the West Indies. Now, I want to talk about individual brilliance in team sport. Now, a lot of athletes are born with a great amount of talent. And what is common in this world is that that talent is sometimes chastised, is sometimes judged, and on many occasions, Herculean efforts are made to bring that talent back down to earth. And why? It's God-given. Okay, sometimes some are not God-given. Sometimes a guy has a dream and he works his butt off to get to the top. But still, there are people that want to bring these individuals down. Now, their rise to prominence isn't about leading teams. It's about leading themselves, setting examples, and doing things a way where they set a legacy for themselves. Now, this World Cup, it was a joy to watch, first of all, Virat Kohli. And I must say that when I'm looking for superstars to talk about, I don't need to go beyond 1 million plus people. You have so many superstars here that I can literally spend the entire night talking about so many great sportsmen and sportswomen that you have. But Virat Kohli walked away in the 2023 World Cup with the Player of the Tournament trophy. And I know a lot of people will be saying, or have already said, it doesn't matter. India did not win the World Cup. Even in Virat's mind, he'd be saying, I would give this trophy up just to hold the big one. But really and truly, sport, team sport, is about winning. And you as an individual player have to have that as your number one motivation. But what is a subsidiary of that? A subsidiary of team success is individual success. And that is what Virat Kohli did for India match after match throughout the World Cup. Now, that did not impress me because the man is capable of anything. What impresses me most about Virat Kohli is his true legacy. He has changed the face of cricket and how you prepare for cricket, the preparation of cricket, the way, the discipline that he has, the commitment that he has. And I have a son, and I can tell you, if my son had to play any sport, and he's allowed to play any sport, I'd be using Virat Kohli's commitment and dedication to not just his craft, but whatever else it takes to become a number one sportsman. Now, I want the Indian team to know that they have performed very well. I want Virat Kohli to know that he should be very proud of his achievements. And there are more times. There are more tournaments, and there are going to be greater feats. Now, that's a little bit about Virat Kohli as being that superstar that he is and the legacy that I feel he's left. Now, I wonder who inspired a man like Virat Kohli. Who do you think? I can tell you. Virat Kohli woke up one day, he turned on his television, and there was a left-hander on the screen beating some English bowling. But as in India, there's 100 cricket channels. So he switched channels, and there was a right-hander from India, right, masterly putting together an innings. And Virat Kohli looked in the mirror and he said, left-hand batting isn't for me. You see that man on that screen there? That is the footsteps I want to follow in. And who is that man? Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about this man. I was 19 years old, and I picked up the newspaper and I saw a 16-year-old Indian batter struck in the nose by a 90-mile-per-hour delivery from a Pakistani fast bowler. And let me tell you something, and when I was 16, luckily nothing touched me because I might have given up the game, because I know a lot of friends who found the ball was too hard. They were batting without a tie pad and they stopped batting. And if anybody saw blood at the age of 16, I could tell you right now, I can go to the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad, I can meet them at the bar, and they will still be talking about their premature resignation or retirement from cricket. But not Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar got up, went back to bat, and saved India a test match at the age of 16. Now, I went to Australia in 1992-93. And luckily for me, I got my first Test 100 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And I'll come back to that a little bit later, because I'm now talking about Sachin. And I looked up on the honor board, and just before my name go up, I saw an 18-year-old's name. He was 2 years older. And it was Sachin's name, 148 at the SCG. And I looked back and I said, wow, am I going to be following in this guy's footstep every single time? Well, what a great honor it is that at the SCG today, we have been honored with our names on the visitors' gate. I don't know sure if that picture is here. There it is. I like the little touch. I like the little touch. Ron Lara before Tendulkar. So it again. Yeah, I like that. Maybe the only time that it will happen. But Sachin Tendulkar, individual brilliance, sometimes, as I said earlier on, was ridiculed, and people were very critical if India did not win a match. And, but I think that's really small-mindedness. When a guy plays for his country, I believe what is bigger than whatever he produces out in the middle is the legacy that he wants to leave. And if there's one thing that Virat Kohli must have gotten from Sachin, and I can tell you it was not his physique or his fitness, was his mental strength. Sachin Tendulkar wanted to be respected around the world as one of the greats. And we all know that measuring stick is very, very critical sometimes. You could be a star at home. If you go abroad and you don't do the things that you need to do, people are going to label you, you know, a home soil bully. When you leave the shores, you're not difficult to get out. But I think Sachin was one of the players from India that really and truly set the standard wherever he went in the world. And I always looked up to him. We had unnecessary comparisons between us, and I think the fact that we became friends very, very quickly, and I could tell you where it started. Our friendship started, very strong friendship started. We were playing against Pakistan in Canada. It was at the Sky Dome, which is now known as the Rogers Center. And they invited the rest of the World 11 versus Pakistan, the World Cup champions. And we went out there, and it's all AstroTurf, and they laid this board out and decided that we're going to play a cricket match there. And let me tell you something, it was dangerous. The ball was bouncing. We had Curtly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, a lot of fast bowlers. And I think it was Imran Khan who decided, listen, we need to have rules here. No one can run up more than 10 paces to deliver the ball. This is an exhibition. Let's have fun, but let's make sure that everybody stays safe. So everyone obliged. Everybody was happy with that. And we went out and we fielded first, and Ambrose walked up to the stumps, and, you know, Javed Miandad and Saeed Anwar and all these guys were knocking the ball around, and they were like 350 and 50 overs, everyone having a great time. And I was asked to open the batting with Sachin Tendulkar, and we walked out. And in about 10 overs or so, we had about 80 runs without loss. And we were going on our merry way. Everyone's enjoying themselves. And I looked back, and Imran Khan was talking to Waqar Younis. And I saw Waqar Younis pass the 10-yard mark and walk down to a full run-up. And he ran in, fired the ball at Sachin Tendulkar. It flew over his head, over the wicketkeeper head, into the fence for 4. And I walked down the wicket to Sachin, and I said, Sachin, it seems like the rules are now thrown out. You know, this guy has gone way back. You know, we should say something. Sachin said, don't worry, Brian. And Waqar took off again and bowled. Now, at the Sky Dome, there's about 100 rows of seat. Sachin got inside the line and hooked this ball 50 to 60 rows up. And I looked at this young man, and I said, wow, different level. Sachin and myself have become very, very close friends. And the Gates is something that I hope that continues our friendship and our legacy for many, many years. And I feel very privileged to have been put in the same light as him. Now, moving on about individual brilliance in team, one other Indian name comes to mind, and that is Kapil Dev. Now, Kapil Dev, of course, preceded Sachin Tendulkar. And in 1983, I spoke to Kapil last week, and I said to Kapil, you know, what advice do you have for the Indian team? Because, you know, back in 1983, the West Indies was the favorites to win the World Cup, and you came from behind to win the World Cup. Now India is the favorite. He says, stop, stop, stop. What are you talking about? He said, no, I knew we were going to win the World Cup. I said, you sure, against the West Indies? He said, yes, I knew the West Indies were going to take us lightly, and we're going to win the World Cup. Now, Kapil Dev is the first great all-rounder of Indian cricket. Now, you're talking about a man that I understand, not the greatest background or the man that a lot of, you know, the middle class and lower class relate to in India, was able to inspire a lot of Indians throughout his career, just from where he came from and what he achieved. Can you imagine a fast bowler in a country that is known for spin? An unconventional batsman in a country that is known to follow the techniques of the colonial coaches? He was a superstar, and to raise that trophy for India in 1983 must have been a tremendous achievement for Indian cricket at the time, wasn't it? Now, Kapil Dev, every time I meet him, he takes my money on the golf course. Fortunately, we only play for rupees, which is good, all right? But he has inspired a lot of cricketers, and I inquired. He inspired, you know, the likes of Sehwag and, you know, Gambhir, and a lot of guys from some Delhi. And I believe that is another individual in Indian cricket that had so much brilliance as an individual. And yes, he won a trophy, the World Cup trophy, but again, his brilliance sometimes outshone the results that India had during his reign as a captain and as a player. Now, what happened before Kapil Dev? Before Kapil Dev was a man they call Sunil Gavaskar. Now, back in the 70s, there wasn't any TVs in my home. That's why maybe I have 10 brothers and sisters, right? Nothing to do at night, so, you know, I'm lucky as well. I'm number 10. And in a family of 11, we played a lot of cricket matches, and growing up, I had to bat at number 10 until I worked my way up the order. So my big sisters batted before me. But when India came to the Caribbean, I was still a little boy, but my dad was a cricket fanatic. And that radio will be on every single time the West Indies is playing. And that series against the West Indies led to a famous song that maybe some of you know, but I just want to play a little bit part of it so you could hear it.
A lovely day for cricket, blue skies and gentle breeze. The Indians are waiting now to play the West Indies. A signal from the umpire, the match is going to start. The cricketers come on the field, they all look very smart. It was Gavaskar, the real master, dressed like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all.
Yeah. Now, Gavaskar could walk anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago. I could promise you that. Anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago. I've never seen a man, so many people turn up at the airport to pick up, so many, you know, to get him to my house for dinner, I have to line up. You know what I'm saying? If he's there for 6 days, I might get him on the 6th or the 5th day to come to have a meal with me. But such an iconic figure in Indian cricket. Now, what did Gavaskar offer India or offer the world? I think he was one of the first Indian batters to really and truly push the confidence of his teammates up. I think he's won through his actions on the field, through his batting, told on the other Indian players, right, you can do this, we can do this. And wearing a skull cap against a four-pronged West Indies pace attack and scoring runs throughout the Caribbean, I think it might have been 1972, I'm not sure. I think that was also the series that maybe the Nawab Pataudi was replaced as captain by Ajit Wadekar. And to do what he did in the West Indies, nobody did. Nobody wanted to go to the West Indies and bat and stand up and bat. And, you know, I think there was one occasion where an Indian team actually declared and accepted defeat before they were bowled out in the West Indies. But Sunil Gavaskar was maybe the first, I would say, major star in Indian cricket when it came to sponsorship and bringing money to the game. Now, he again, someone middle, upper class, flew that flag for Indian cricket and really and truly dragged the crowds out to see a superstar for the first time. The West Indies and India have a very similar landscape in terms of cricket. India, 1947 independence. The Caribbean islands, different independent time, but it reigned from the 50s into the 60s. We were both colonized by the English, and a lot of times during that 50s and 60s, we really and truly just wanted to play cricket to show the people that once ruled us that we could play the game. I think the result wasn't a major factor. But in the 70s, both India and the West Indies maybe more through the leadership of Clive Lloyd, wanted to show the rest of the world that we cannot just only play cricket, we can beat you at the game that we taught you. And I believe that in India, Sunil Gavaskar was the man that really led that charge throughout the 70s and 80s to try to take India's cricket out of mediocrity to some level of prominence before he retired. Moving on, I named 4 cricketers: Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, Kapil Dev, and Sunil Gavaskar. And I was just, listening to Gower's speech, and he said something about he named 50 cricketers, but you never satisfy, everybody when you choose cricketers. And my top 5 will be, as I said, Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, Kapil Dev, Sunil Gavaskar, and of course, Tiger Pataudi. And the same as Gower said, if I did not select your man, he was number 6. Okay? I wanted to get a perspective from a West Indian that actually played against Tiger Pataudi. Now I called around Sir Garfield Sobers. As you know, everyone, he's in his late 80s, and it was great to have him on the phone a few days ago. But obviously, getting on in age, he didn't remember much. And I hope that we all keep praying for him, because he is, as you guys know, iconic figure in West Indies cricket, and we need him around for as long as possible. But I made a few more calls, and I got on to Sir Clive Lloyd. And Sir Clive Lloyd said to me, in a nice conversation, he said to me, Brian, this man could have been anything. He could have rivaled what India has put on the stage as their best, if it was not for his incident. He said he was flamboyant, he was stylish, he was aggressive as an Indian captain, and he sort of inspired his team to win. Beautiful shots, willing to take chances, and above all, Brian, a wonderful man. He's a man that whenever he turned up, Sir Clive turned up for an ICC match referee job, he will be invited by Mr. and Mrs. Pataudi to their residence for a meal, for a drink, and he was always very, very pleasant. And someone who, I think, he said, also stayed away from controversy. Now, I was also told that the West Indies introduced a 4-prong pace attack. I heard the Tiger introduce a 4-prong spin attack. Is that true? Well, we West Indians and a lot of other cricket playing countries, they're not great players of spin. But what a great man to find out about and to learn about. And as I said earlier on, he really fascinated me with his name. And I now know why this man is so well respected in these circles. A little bit about me before I end. In 1989, India was touring the West Indies, led by, I think, Kapil Dev. And I was representing an under-23 team in St. Kitts against India. And I got 183. And I went back to work. I worked at a rum company. I was 19 years old. And my manager got a phone call, and he said, "Your dad is on the phone." I said, "Okay." And I got on the phone, and my dad said, "Did you hear the team? Did you hear the team?" I said, "No, I didn't hear the team." He said, "You're on the team, you're on the team." I said, "Wow." My boss gave me, I was working at a rum company, so I got a case of rum. I put it in the back of my car, and I drove up to the village, Santa Cruz, where outside my house there was my dad and 100 people celebrating already. So, of course, the case of rum was consumed very quickly. The first game that I was involved with the West Indies happened to be in Trinidad and Tobago, so I didn't have to go anywhere. I got a letter, congratulations, a report to practice at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, and from there you head to the hotel. So my brother got me to the Queen's Park Oval at 8 a.m., and there I was knocking up on the grass and you know, a bit nervous, and I saw the bus turn up. And in this bus was all my heroes. Sir Vivian Richards, Sir Gordon Greenidge, Sir Desmond Haynes, the late Malcolm Marshall, Kirtley Ambrose, all these, Jeffrey Dujan, all these guys who I looked up to, and at one point in time got an autograph, is now walking into the Oval, and there I was in the middle of the field thinking, wow. So they got in, they got lost into the dressing room, and I told my brother, it's maybe time I go say hello to my new teammates. And there I was walking up the stairs of the Queen's Park Oval, and out came a cricket bag flying through the air and fell on the ground, splattered everywhere. It's my bats, my pads, my gloves, everything. I was like, geez, what did I do wrong? I picked up pieces of my gear, and I walked inside the dressing room. And where I put my gear is where Sir Vivian Richards placed his gear. Well, I spent the first 5 days of my international career in the bathroom, moving my gear back and forth whenever anybody wanted to use it, but I was quickly put into my place, and it reminds me, it was not, you know, a bad thing, but just listening to Saurav's speech here as well, and he spoke about the fact that when he got into the team as a 17, 18-year-old, one of the senior players looked at him and said, "You shouldn't be here. You're too young to be here." And on many occasions in the West Indies, I got that feeling that they felt that I shouldn't be here. And I used those 2 years of apprenticeship because I carried a lot of towels, a lot of water for 2 years before I played my second test match. My first test match was in Pakistan. By default, Viv Richards wasn't there. He was injured, and I got an opportunity to play, but I had to go back and sit on the bench. And just to give you a little further story, someone asked me very recently, if there is something that you would like to happen that did not happen in your career, what would it be? And I thought long and hard about it. And let me tell you something. It goes back to that test match against India. I was left out of the 11, and on the first day of the test match, my dad came to me on the edge of the fence and he said he needed some tickets. His friends, wants to come over the weekend. So I asked the manager, Clive Lloyd, and he gave me an extra 5 tickets. I gave it to my dad. And I went back to the hotel. I was awakened at 5 o'clock in the morning, the second morning. And Clive Lloyd and my brothers were standing there, and I knew there was something wrong. My dad passed away before he saw me play a test match for the West Indies. And if there's anything I wish today that happened in my life, is that at least he saw me play a test match, because he gave his life, he gave everything he had, this last effort. He had 6 boys, they weren't that very good. The 7th had to be good. And he gave his life for me, and that is one thing I wish that, I could have had my dad just watching me play one test match. Fast forward, I will give you a very interesting story, and it's about my first Test 100. This was my tour of Australia, and I was playing in the 3rd Test match in Sydney. And Australia were 1-0 up in the series. Just remember, we, during the 70s and 80s, destroyed everybody. And Australia is 1-0 up in the series with 3 Test matches to go, and they've got 600 runs on the board. So which means losing the 3rd Test match is almost impossible. So if they could win, they will be 2-2. And this could be the opportunity that Australia can have to just remove the shackles that the West Indies had on them. And Desmond Haynes, my roommate, invited me to dinner. Now, Desmond Haynes is the tightest human being in the world. Never invite anybody. Don't spend a bad cent. He invited me to dinner, so I said, of course, Money was a bit tight in those days, so a free dinner was definitely a good thing. And I went downstairs with Desmond Haynes, and I realized that an Australian family was paying for dinner, not him. So we went to this Chinese restaurant, and a few months earlier, I was introduced to crispy duck and pancakes in England. So I looked at the menu and I said, all right, I'm going to have some, the gentleman said, order whatever you want. I said, I'm going to have some crispy duck. Desmond Haynes looked at me. He said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to have some crispy duck. He said, you what? He said, we're batting tomorrow. You're not having any duck on this table. I said, Desi, but I want duck. He said, you're not having any duck. The gentleman who was paying, he said, Brian, order whatever you want. So I ordered the duck, and the duck arrived on the table, and I was next to Desi, and Desi was eating facing this way, and I was having my duck. The next day, we walked out to bat, Desmond Haynes, and I think Phil Simmons, and within about 45 minutes, Desmond Haynes is walking off the field, bowled for 21, and I'm walking on the field. And as I'm passing him, he said to me very quietly, he said, good luck with that duck you had last night. Well, 277 later, we had duck in Adelaide, we had duck in Perth. He could not believe a man can have a duck before a test match and score so many runs. So that is my little story there before after Sachin Tendulkar got there first at 148. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful evening. It's a pleasure to be back in India. And I think we can safely say the home of cricket is no longer at Lord's. It's right here in Kolkata at Eden Garden. I love coming to your beautiful city, and I hope to be invited back very, very soon. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for having me. Much appreciated. Good night.
It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Ron. Yeah. Could you just take a seat here, please? Thank you, Mr. Lara. That was an absolutely riveting, enlightening, engaging. I don't have enough adjectives. Thank you so very much. May I now request Mr. Miraj D. Shah, Vice Chairman of the Bhawanipur Education College, to kindly felicitate Mr. Lara.
Tell him that this is a sketch. This is a sketch. Oh, this is a sketch, of course. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. That's there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I now request Mr. J.P. Khaitan, President of the Bengal Club, to propose the vote of thanks.
I must confess I'm rather starstruck as I deliver this vote of thanks. On behalf of the Bengal Club and the Telegraph, I would like to extend an enormous thank you to the Prince of Port of Spain. Thank you for sharing with us insights into your extraordinary career in a lecture that has transported us to cricket pitches across the world, from Trinidad and Antigua in the Caribbean to our very own Eden Gardens. Today's lecture has certainly been amongst the best innings of the Tiger Pataudi Memorial Lecture. The club is indebted to you, sir, for taking the time to be here with us in Kolkata and for delivering a talk that was entertaining, moving, and inspiring. We would also like to thank our sponsors, the Bhawanipur Education Society College, the Oberoi Grant Kolkata, Cucina, Peerless, ABP Anando, 91.9 Friends FM, and T2 Online for helping us put together this memorable event. Before we close for the evening, I must also thank our audience who have been listening with rapt attention. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. Thank you again, Ms. Lara, and a very good evening to all. Thank you.